Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at something I was very excited about from the minute they showed it. This is the Flame Toys Power Rangers Dino Megazord, or as I like to call it, the only Megazord that matters. It is the coolest Megazord out of all the Megazords, but this might be, I personally think it is, the coolest version of that Megazord ever to be released. Is it the best figure? I think it might be. It's really, really good. Now, do keep in mind, it is incredibly expensive. I think it was like $450 or something like that. But if you're okay with the styling, this might just be the best Megazord figure out there. That's just my hunch. We'll see as we get into it. I tend to think it's going to be the case. Now, let me do a quick question of the day right now before we get started. How do you feel about this stylization? I want to ask you in two parts. One, the main figure, because you can pull the wings off if you want to, and you don't need to worry about those. If you don't like the wings, you don't have to look at the wings. But two, with the wings and the tail, because the tail has to stay either way. How do you guys feel about it? For me personally, I think it's wonderful. I love it. I'm generally a P1 kind of guy. Main looks are my thing primarily, but I think they knocked it out of the park. Wings and tail and everything. This part here, the core body, love it. Personally speaking, subjectively, I absolutely love this thing. Objectively, there are some problems. I'm going to get into all of it as we go. It's going to be kind of a long video, so buckle up, pop some corn, grab a snack and a drink, and get ready for about 30 minutes of Megazord action. So let's go ahead and get him not off the stand because he's too big, but let's get him set up for the rest of the review. Okay, now before we get into the actual combined Megazord, because that's definitely the thing that you came here for, I'm guessing, I do want to look at the individual Zords by themselves just briefly, and I'll show you the instruction booklet too, because it is surprisingly nice. Now, Flame Toys is a very high quality brand. I haven't had anything from them that disappointed me yet, and this is the case for these guys as well. Right down to the instruction booklet. So obviously they do combine, and it is mostly the way you would expect, but there's a lot of tiny moving parts and things, and they have one of the nicest instruction manuals that I have ever seen. It is full color. It does have descriptions along with the photographs. It's not always the best English, which obviously that's fine. It's kind of funny. There's one right here that's just a little bit funny. It's funny sounding, so I'll share it with you. It may cause broken, which is not wrong. I mean, it's wrong grammatically, but it's funny. And I love this instruction booklet because it's, like I said, very, very nicely done, very high quality. It seems like a silly thing, and people love to say, I don't care about this or I don't care about that. And that's fine. You don't have to care about everything that I'm talking about, but some people do. And so that's why I cover as much as I can in my reviews so that you guys can decide what's important to you. But it would do you a disservice for me to decide what's important. So the instruction manual is actually, I think, a very important thing, and the high quality nature of this one is excellent. Very, very nicely done. Don't throw that away. Good artwork too. Okay, so let's look at the individual bots. They're not really bots, are they? I guess they are. I know they're called Zords in fiction, in canon, whatever it's called, in universe. All right, so let me move these out of the way. They're bigger than I thought they were going to be. If I had a nickel. I thought this thing was going to be fairly small, and it's not the biggest Megazord ever, obviously, but it's not little, especially the T-Rex here. He stands in this pose, and of course you're not going to get him in tons of crazy poses. Right around 8 inches, and that's going to be just about, let's call it 20.5 centimeters. Here he is up against a Marvel Legends Darwin. Definitely has some size to him. Now do remember, these Flame Toys figures aren't usually very large, but they're very involved, and that's where the price point comes in. I think this guy was, not this one, but the whole set, I think it was $450, something like that. I don't remember. It's been a while since I paid for it, but you're not paying for size, you're paying for quality. And I just want to run through the details on here. And we're going to do this again for the full put together Megazord, but I just want to show you briefly how nice, how crisp and sharp everything is from the sculpt right down to the paint and the details. This side is different than this side. Of course, a lot of this comes down to styling and stylization, but the quality is just superb. All the metallic parts are very nicely metallic. Nice and sharp, crisp paint and sculpt. I love it. All right, so let's just go ahead and do some brief articulation on this guy. I want to put this out there. If you are buying Megazord for the individual Zords or the tank mode, you're probably the type of person that doesn't announce when they see horses or cows on the side of the road. It's just not right. You have to do it, and you should be buying this for the fully combined Megazord. I have to put that out there. It's not intended, I think, for the individual Zords, because they're very basic. He does have surprisingly good range for his arms. You can pose him pretty well for being just a T-Rex. You get bicep swivels and shoulder range and elbows and wrists. Like, even the wrists have rotation, and his little claws at the top, they can move. So yeah, it's very nicely done. He does have some range of motion in the torso. Now, a lot of this is just for the combined Megazord, but it does have it. The head, not a ton of range, and you can of course open and close the jaw if you want to. But like I said, if you're buying this for the individual Zords, you're probably going to be disappointed. It's not really aimed at that. Again, for the combined mode, you have the hip flaps that move here and there. The legs, nicely ratcheted. He is definitely a bit chunky in the legs, but I don't think it's too bad. But it is the thing. Thigh swivel is there, be careful. Because this piece, his crotch piece is huge, so be careful with that. But you do get decent posability out of this guy, especially the T-Rex. He's usually the most formidable in terms of posing because he is the main body of Megazord. But you get decent ability to use them individually if you want to. A little bit of ankle rocker, not much, but it's there. His toes bend too. So yeah, he's fine. And I love the color scheme on this whole set overall. The darker tones, I think, work wonderfully. I love it. And there's so many different various tones, different and various. Didn't need to put both of those together. Very, very nicely done. The tail doesn't have a ton of range unless you separate it like this, which is really probably more so for the combined mode. But even still, it's very nicely done. So there's the T-Rex. This is going to be a longer review. I'm going to try to cut out as much as I can so you guys don't have to sit forever, but it's an involved set. All right, and then here we have the Mastodon. Again, lovely, beautiful paintwork and sculpt work. Look at that. It's so nice to see a toy that's made with some care. It actually is a collectible toy rather than just a piece of garbage churned out. Now, there's not a whole lot to talk about for this guy. He does have his little tiny tail back here. Not the best looking thing in the world. You know, it doesn't look great. But like I said, you're not buying this for the individual Zords. His trunk does work nicely. It's one of the nicest multi-jointed things I've seen in a while. They did a very good job with that. It looks and functions very nicely, so that's good. And that's about it for him. Like, you can pose him a little bit here and there, but he's mostly a brick, okay? And then we have the pterodactyl, which is too big for me to get on camera properly, but look at those nice wings. That brassish color. What would that be? It's almost like a titanium gold. I don't know what you would call that. It's not brass, really. It's not bronze. It's not copper. I'm not sure. But it looks, I think I'd stick with the titanium. It looks so nice. Such a nice, like, smooth, even, like, satin finish. It's not purely, like, there's no metal flake to it. It looks gorgeous. Same thing with the silvers, too, by the way. Looks nice. But the wings have a really nice flapping mechanism. I don't know why we don't see more things like this, other than the mechanical nature of this helps it to hide. But you can see when it's open fully, you don't even notice the seam, really, two seams. And then when it's closed, you can barely see them also. Very, very well done. You do get the hinge here to let it flap up and down, of course. That's nice. There's not a whole lot you're going to do with the pterodactyl. And yes, I did say pterodactyl earlier, just to see if anybody would leave a comment complaining about me saying it like that. So yeah, there's a little bit to it, but it's also very skinny and weird because it's not the traditional pterodactyl. It does have the sword for the body, and the crotch piece here for the Megazord is in there too. But it's still, you know, it's fine. And this one does not have the opening mount. I think I mentioned it on the T-Rex. I don't think I went into enough detail on that though. He does have the little guns in there that can fold down a little bit or fold up. There, they're down like that. No guns. And then you can fold them up to get the guns to point forward. So yeah, he has the guns in the opening mouth. The pterodactyl does not have the opening mouth. I thought it did, but it does not. Okay, but so that's it for the pterodactyl. Not a whole lot really going on there. Like I said, not a whole lot for any of these really. The saber-toothed tiger, pretty good looking. I think it's one of the better versions of the saber-toothed tiger. Pretty good looking. All right, the legs have all the articulation you would expect. It does have the wheels for wheel mode, although they don't function. Or do they function if you take them down? Yeah, I think they do. Let's see. No, they don't function. Okay, that's a little bit of a bummer. I thought they would have functioning wheels. Guess it's understandable that they don't, but doesn't have functioning wheels. We'll check on the Triceratops too. Alright, but otherwise decent enough articulation for it. Everything you would expect. Head moves around nicely. Mouth does open and close. So yeah, it's fine. Nothing crazy though. And then we have this guy with his little tiny legs and his Triceratops body. He does not have the horns that come out, by the way, unless it's just not in the instructions and it happens to do that, but I don't think it does. But his mouth opens and he moves around a little bit. His legs are popped out right now, so you can have the tank treads if you want, because you would need that for the one mode anyway. Where do they go? This way. Let's see. I thought his wheels worked, but maybe I'm going crazy. Yeah, okay, so they don't have... I don't know where I got the idea that they had wheels that functioned, but they don't. He just has the little sculpted tank treads on there. So yeah, no functional wheels, unfortunately, but still very, very nicely sculpted and painted for the individual Zords. Okay, so you've seen all of those. I'm just going to go ahead and cut the video to me having it fully combined and transformed. It's not a complicated thing. You don't need to watch me do it, and that's part of the fun anyway, so do that on your own, and I don't want to kill any more video time, so let me just cut to that. Really quick, guys, just because I forgot to mention it. I purposely omitted it, but I forgot to mention it. I'm not going to show you this mode because I don't feel like doing it. Frankly, the video is already too dang long, and I think you have to be a crazy person to buy this and not have Megazord looking like Megazord. If you're going to do this or just have these on your shelf, you're probably a crazy person. I don't know for sure. You guys can let me know if you're interested in that sort of thing. But it does do it, so I don't really need to review it. Like, he just basically is Megazord sitting down. Like, you get it. You get the idea. And it does it, so that's fine. But let's do another question of the day real quick. Are you buying this to keep them in their individual modes or in this mode? Or is it strictly that mode? Because to me, that's the only thing that's worth doing. But let me know. All right? Okay, so that's that. Okay, so I've got him fully transformed / combined, and I have two things to note. One, it looks gorgeous. We'll get into that in a second. And two, it's about 90% super easy, straightforward, no problem at all to put together, but there are a few things in the process that are absolutely infuriating to me. I don't know if you guys had or will have the same experience, but I do want to talk about it briefly. So let me bring that up in here. The first thing I have to note, the two legs are really no problem at all. The Mastodon was no problem except for this right here. Whatever this is telling you to do, it's unclear. You'll see two little cylindrical pieces when you get to it. I can't show you because it's on the figure and it's not clear on here, but when you get to doing it, you'll see two little cylindrical pieces. Just push down on the right one a little bit and just pry it away. And you'll see what I mean. As you do it, you'll feel it and it'll go. And then the other one will be able to do it too. I don't know what this is actually showing or talking about. It's pretty unclear. Mostly the directions are pretty good. The language barrier is not too much of a problem, but there are a few things. One of the other few things is right here. It's talking about releasing this locking mechanism for another locking mechanism, and I was not able to achieve the second part of that. I have no idea what they're talking about, and it didn't seem to make a difference at all. I got it fully transformed. I have no idea what's going on there. You pull this part down and you're able to do the whole thing. So I don't know what they're talking about, but maybe you'll have better luck than me. I don't know. I bent a bunch of my fingernails back trying to get these little parts to move and nothing was going, but I got it to work out anyway, so I guess that's not a problem. Another tiny issue is it says right here on the shoulder pads, there's a little tab you can pull away and then you can raise up the shoulder and then you can push the tab back. There's lots of those little tabs. In fact, on him, I can show you this one. I have no idea what they're talking about again, because the tabs are right here. You can see, and of course the lighting doesn't help, you can see that little tab. It's easy to move over, but the shoulder pad didn't go anywhere. So I have no idea what exactly they're referring to as far as that goes. Again, you can mess with that, but all you're supposed to be able to do is lift up the shoulder pad some, but I wasn't able to. And they're already up as far as I can see them in any picture that they've shown, so I don't know exactly what they're talking about there. Another small thing, these are little things. There's lots of steps to the directions, by the way. They're all little steps, but still. One of the issues is there's a little tab somewhere on the T-Rex. Where are they mentioning it? They are mentioning it on the back, right above the tail, it has this little tab right here, and it's referred to as the body lock. I was not able to get that to move at all, and it seemed to be moving anyway. Like the body part that they're talking about moving was moving anyway. So I don't know what they're referring to. There's a few of those little spots here and there. You'll kind of have to just mess with them as you're going through the process. And then hopefully you don't have the trouble I had, but it didn't really prevent me from doing anything. Like, he's fully transformed. So I don't know what those are about. And then there's one last little thing, which is not really a transformation issue at all. But back here, it talks about sliding these, let me focus. There's little silver things on the mastodon feet that you have to slide forward in order to get the guns to go in. I could not get those to slide forward until I got something and wedged it in here and pushed them up, rather than trying to pull on them. So just be aware of that. Okay, alright, so it is fully transformed, and I do think it is absolutely stunning, gorgeous. I think it is their best looking thing to date. It's gorgeous. I don't mind the stylization at all. In fact, I love it. I think it is fantastic. The best Megazord figure to date. As far as I'm concerned, it is gorgeous. It beats the SOC, it beats the SRC, it beats everything out there. Of course, you have to be okay with the styling of this one, but my goodness, is the quality through the roof. There are a few of those issues. A few little tabs don't like tabbing in as well as I would like, and things like that. You're always going to get that with plastic. And it is mostly plastic. There is some die cast on it, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but it mostly is absolutely fantastic. I love the way it looks. The quality is great. Those few issues were definitely annoying. And there are a few other things that I'm going to mention as we go through this, but overall, it is great. I want to get that out there. Now, let's go ahead and start with this. I do not at all like the way they did the sword, and I don't imagine it's going to take long for a third-party company to release an accessory for this guy, because the sword, having been incorporated into the pterodactyl, it definitely has been sacrificed as a sword. So the blade part is nice enough, but you permanently have a hinge right here, which doesn't actually snap into place or anything. There should be a detent on the hinge so that when it's like this, it stays in place. So that's a bummer. This is part of the one transformation for the tank mode, so that sucks. And then you also have the pterodactyl head permanently attached to the sword. Don't like that at all. So that's super annoying, and it's not chrome. I don't mind it not being chrome, but this specifically and this, don't like it. As far as him holding it, it's okay. He only holds onto it with these little tabs on the side, so he has very little grip. So be aware, the sword's not a great situation. Same thing with the mastodon head. It does have a few pieces here that have to be transformed around, but he also only holds onto it really from that little tab right there. And it doesn't hold on very well at all, so that's a bummer. Now, interestingly enough, he does have articulated fingies. Very nicely articulated hands, some of the best I have seen, and I'll show you those. Unfortunately, little fingers like this don't have really that much grip strength to hold accessories. Can we focus? There we go. It's going to be hard because it's very dark. It's almost black plastic. But they have hinges in every spot of the finger that you should have a hinge. They move around very nicely. They're great hands, but they're not great for holding things because they're still just little tiny plastic hinges. So you'll be able to get him to hold his accessories, but specifically with the mastodon head, it's quite difficult. So just be aware of that. But I love the articulated hands on this guy. I think that's awesome. Okay, one of the other things that I have to mention that bothered me a little bit, it's the tail. And it's not so much that it has a tail that doesn't really bother me. It's the fact that they made it this segmented articulated tail. It doesn't articulate that well. Like, that's as much of a curve as you can really achieve. And they even tell you, okay, a little bit more. They even tell you in the directions, don't try to bend these last two, it'll break. So, I don't like that. Like, it looks good enough, but there's a good chance he's going to fall back on that tail at some point, and it is really not sturdy in any way to do like a 3-point stance. Now, luckily, he's not back heavy or anything, but it is possible for him to fall back on it, so be aware of that. But yeah, the tail does move around, and so if you wanted to, you can do whatever you want with it as far as posing goes, but you're not getting a ton of range actually out of the tail. So I think since they were incorporating the tail into the figure, they could have put a little bit more into it, but it's not like it's a huge deal because it's mostly just going to float there in the back and not be looked at. Okay, couple things you're probably wondering. One, can I remove the wings? I don't like the wings. It's not true to the original Megazord canon. And yes, you can. First of all, you can just fold them up. They fold up rather nicely. I think they look pretty good like that. And then you can just fold them back. And then they don't look too bad. I don't mind them at all. I think they look great on Megazord, frankly. But you can, if you want to remove them, it's not a very complex process. Let's get this here. The guns are kind of in the way. I don't know if I can, let's just take the guns off. All right, yeah, so the guns do come off. You can leave them up there as the cannons. All right, and I'll show you those in a second. These are the parts I was telling you about, by the way. These little silver parts, you need to pull them out from that position, and I could not get it to go until I jammed something in there. Anyway, let's flip the little tail right here. That's the Mastodon tail. And then this should just pop right off pretty easily. Yeah, so if you don't want the wings on there, you don't have to have them. I think that's great. And it does look good without them too. Like, it's still a good Megazord figure. You can throw your guns back on there if you wanted. I'm not gonna do it, but you get the idea. It looks, I guess I could do it. Will they move now? Yeah, okay, so once I freed them up, they moved easily, so that's good. So we'll stick our guns on there and you get a good look at more of a classic look for Megazord. I wonder if I called him Megatron at all in this video. There you go. So he does have his cannons. I just kind of wedged them on there real quick. But you can take the wings off if you want. I wouldn't. I think they look great, but you can. All right, and then for the guns, if you really wanted to, which I probably would. I don't really like them on his back like that, especially the way it's been implemented on this figure, because they don't rotate to the side at all, so they're kind of close together. They do turn into proper badass looking guns, so he can just hold them in his hands and you can go dual wieldy like that. And there's an opening here, so it makes me wonder if they either had planned to do some kind of effect, or maybe there's going to be an option part set or something. I'm not missing anything, I don't think. I guess there could be something in the package that I didn't grab. I hope not. I don't think so, though. But yeah, you do get to dual wield these guns. So if you like that, that's a good option. Okay, so you already saw the wings. I'll show you them briefly before I put them back on. You do have the full wing articulation down here, up here, and it's pretty nice, and you get the hinging here. And they do rotate this way as well. So if you're not opposed to the wings, which I would recommend you don't be because they actually look really nice, they make for some good posability, posing options. All right, you already saw the tail, so we're gonna leave that alone. And actually, we'll leave these off, and I'll show you the articulation real quick. It's not great, frankly, but it's not bad at all. Okay, so the head is on a ball peg, it moves around nicely, and boy, did I tell you how much I love the way this looks. That has to be the most badass looking Megazord ever. It still looks like the classic Megazord, but like a crazy samurai robot, super awesome thing. So I love it. Okay, cool. All right. So the arms, obviously you get your full rotation. They do have forward and back right there. You're gonna be able to do most of the posability that you want. These guys do move on their own. You get your bicep swivel right here, double jointed elbow. Really good range, not bad looking. Oop, you can't see it properly. Not bad looking at all. Really, it's not bad articulation. The reason I said it's not great articulation is because he is a combiner, so there's a little bit of an issue there. Some things like to pop off and whatnot, but it's not too bad. All right, then the wrists have a ball peg where they connect. Oh my gosh. My cameraman is asleep at the wheel today. All right, so the wrists do have a ball peg in there where they connect, if we can focus. All right, and you already saw that the hands are fully articulated, so that's pretty good. Now the torso is not great. Also, raising the arms up, you have to be careful. You're not doing it here. Oh my gosh. Why is the camera not doing what I want it to do? You don't do it here, you have to do it down here. So if you're raising the arms up, make sure you're applying the pressure at the right spot, all right? Doesn't happen over here. Okay, so for the torso, you have a kind of a cool option here. You can leave it fully extended, which I've done previously. You can also squash it down. I'll show you that in a second. But as far as the abdominal section, it does lean forward pretty well. And then leaning back, it doesn't go too far. Mine will not do anything side to side, so I'm assuming it doesn't have any lateral movement in terms of leaning. And in terms of rotation, I don't have any of that either. So you guys can let me know if you have this. Is yours stuck like mine? Does it not have it? I'm assuming it just doesn't have it. But it is fairly limited in the torso. It doesn't seem like it needed to be, but it is. But like I was mentioning, if you want to have the slightly squattier proportions, just push down and it does squash in there. I don't love that look. It's a little more seamless, but I think he looks better with the longer torso. But some people might prefer the shorter torso with the giant legs. But he does have very large legs, so I like... Oh, come on. There we go. I like the extended body. I don't mind being able to see in there a little bit. All right, now these flaps are on ball pegs. They move very nicely. These are also on ball pegs, but it only just tabs in right here. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me today? I'm not cameraing at all. So his skirt flaps, those are on ball pegs, but it only tabs onto his crotch right here, and it doesn't tab on very hard. So you're gonna have that pop off a bunch. I'm assuming I have, and I've barely handled this thing. All right, so that tabs on there. It looks good, but these guys, anytime you even try to pose them, they tend to just pop right off. And he does have butt flaps too for his skirt here. So let's see how his legs can move. I'm guessing this is popping right off. Yeah, it did. That's really, really annoying. Super finicky. But you do get ratchets, and he can kick all the way up to horizontal. So that's good range. And going back, it does go back a little bit. Let's see if we can go a little bit farther. I think we probably can. Tail's getting in the way too much, but yeah, it's decent range still going back. And then going out to the side, not bad, almost splits, not quite, but it does work, and the ratchets are holding, so that's a good thing. You do get your thigh swivel, that's a good thing. Knee joint, double jointed knee, actually really, really nice range, no problem there. Oh, I did have a little bit of an issue when I was snapping the legs together to connect the T-Rex to the Triceratops. These tabs in here, you can kind of see that tab, right? Not the silver thing, but just past it, there's a tab. And it does not want to stay in on this one. For whatever reason, once I got the T-Rex part in there, I could not get this to tab. Like, it goes in, but it just falls right back out. Anyway, that's not a huge problem. All right, and then lastly, we have the ankles. So you get pretty good range. You can bring the head forward so you can bring the toe up a little bit farther. Get a little bit of an ankle rocker. Nothing super elaborate, but it's not too bad. Like, it'll work. I am concerned that they're a little bit too loose because he's kind of heavy and the ankles aren't super tight, and he doesn't lean on his tail. So you may want to take some shelf diving precautions for something this expensive. But it's not like it's super unbalanced or anything like that. It's just the feet aren't very, very stiff at the ankle. So be concerned a little bit about that. Okay, so I know that was slightly awkward. It's an awkward figure. It's kind of finicky. It is on the unpleasant side to handle because it is a combiner. That's almost always the case for combiners, especially ones with lots of little tiny parts like this. But I personally think it's worth it because it is a gorgeous, gorgeous figure. It's easily one of the best looking things I own. And I own kind of a lot of stuff, so that should tell you something. Okay, so I didn't do a standard review on this guy because of his unique nature, being a combining, transforming Megazord figure, but it is gorgeous. It poses well enough, I would say, and accessories are good enough. Don't like the sword, don't like the Mastodon specifically, but you can get by with them, so it's passable. And then I guess it just really comes down to the price. It is super expensive. Technically, I have no doubt that it's worth it. There's a million moving parts in here and tons of paint, and it's so well executed. I think right now Flame Toys is doing the best work. Now, they are the most expensive out of basically everything. But their work is unparalleled, if you ask me. It's so well done, especially for like the robots. So I love it. I don't know if I'm actually going to give it a final rating just because it's kind of subjective. I guess I will. 8 out of 10. I want to go higher. I would subjectively go higher, but the sword being crappy, don't like that. Him not being able to hold things well, don't like that. And then the few other issues that I mentioned, it's kind of annoying. But it is still an excellent figure, and I really wouldn't hesitate if I was you. If you like the way it looks and you don't mind spending the money, get it. It is awesome. There are a few caveats, but it is awesome. And I personally love the thing. I think it's an absolutely wonderful rendition of Megazord and a really, really high quality product. So there it is, guys. That was a super long video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know which Zord, individual Zord, no, any Zord at all. Any of the Zords ever, let me know which is your favorite. For me, I want to go with Megazord, but I think I have to go with Dragonzord because he soloed Megazord. So I'm going to go with Dragonzord. But let me know which Zord is your favorite if you made it this far. But that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos every day, but Wednesday, usually not right now, but I'll get back to it. And thousands of videos already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.